victimization. Also, we talked about rape weaponization. Listen, we have more in store. You need to listen to this. You better listen now. Enjoy. I really do understand this conversation, and it gladdens my heart that you are a man, a guy, is actually saying this, because if somebody comes to you and you say, oh, sorry, I'm not interested, or even if you tell them that you are married or you're dating, then they say, come in, koko, oh, see, date, come in, anything, mo le ma fair, they would even open up to you cheating on your partner. Like, it's not a big deal. Or faking persisting, you're faking, and it's really troublesome, because I really do have friends that would say, oh, I have to go out with my brother, I have to go out with this person. I don't think they get it. I really do not think Nigerian men get it. I mean, 100%, 100 about your, like 70, 85% of these men, they believe that you have to push. And women also like it. Because if a man is asking you how and you just say yes to it, they will say, oh my, you're cheap, that you're cheap.
They will say you're cheap.
They will tell you you're very cheap. So oftentimes you just have to say, okay, I'm not cheap, so even I like this dude, I'm just gonna play cool and play like I don't like you, until you keep pushing for maybe 6 months. And we believe that the fact that this guy has me out for 6 months, it means he's serious. No. It doesn't mean shit. Someone can actually ask you out today and you say, okay, yes, I'm gonna do that, and you might spend forever with this person.
Exactly, and it's the same thing with sexual intercourse. It's the same thing with sexual intercourse. It's not, nobody needs to persist to have sex. Two adults, when they want to have sex, should just go ahead and do it if they want to do it. If one of them is hesitant, the other one should just respect it. And then, I was going to mention this. Okay, we will never have a solution to all this if we keep looking at the law. Like, there is what is right and there is what is legal. What is right is usually legal, will almost always be legal. But what is legal, or what passes as legal, would not always be right.
Word.
So we need to shift our moral compass to a place where the question we should be asking ourselves is, how can I respect this human being I'm dealing with? How can I treat them with love? How can I respect their boundaries? It's not always when you're dealing with a woman, your first thought, if your thought as a man is, I don't want to be convicted of rape, you're not the best human being.
Definitely.
Because if what we keep thinking is, what is the legal standard? What is the legal standard? It means that if you ever have a way of going around the law, if you ever have a way of never getting caught,
you would do that.
That means you would do what you shouldn't be doing. If the question we are asking is, what is right? If the conversations we're having is, what is right? What is appropriate? What is respectful?
Right.
Then we'll be in a better place. You would want to know if you're respectful. You would want to know if the lady is genuinely saying yes to you. Because a lot of, when we're talking about rape, most of these instances are intense rape. Somebody you really know, it's borderline, was there consent or was there no consent? It's not always, people always think about this, a huge man coming with a knife, with a gun. That is not even that's not the privilege. I have the privilege of having spoken to many females, and a lot of these people have gone through a lot of, all this borderline, being manipulated, being
coined,
being harassed, right. Just all those borderline issues, which if you take to the court of law, you might not be able to prove. Like I said, the solution is not in the court of law. The solution is we need to go back to our moral values. We need to stop being hypocrites. We need to tell our children what sex is. I'm 28 years old. I've never been able to have a conversation about sex with my partner. Yeah, I've never. So it starts from there. It starts from your father facing reality and telling you that, oh, son, the first time you have sex, this is what you do, make sure this, make sure that. It's not like the only conversations we're having is if you do this, you're going to hellfire. Let's face reality. We have an increasing
It's
we, it's very bad, Ellen.
you know, I'm still very wild because I'm learning on this episode, and many things I do not know about, few things I know about, but it's a conversation that must be that we must have.
It's a continuing conversation. We
Right.
can never stop having this conversation.
In Nigeria, we have the what are you wearing? Why did you go to his house if you don't want to do this and that? I feel like we always provide some sort of excuse for the rapist. Do you think that we shield justice? We shield the right thing sometimes. Like, yes, you did that, but if you had not done this, that would not have happened to you.
Yes, we.
How do you see our shield for justice, our protection for justice?
Well, I think that in all honesty, in Nigeria we are very guilty of further victimizing the victims. Yes, like I told you earlier, the first questions you ask the victim, somebody who is going through some trauma, is what were you wearing? Why were you there? Who was there with you?
Or why didn't you report on time? Why did it take you years to report?
Why did it take you years? Even before we not even discussing that, like, let's even discuss the prosecution itself, the procedural aspect of it, or the substantive aspect, whatever. The thing is, it's really hard to Nigerian courts don't make it easy to actually prove this. There are statistics to back this up. I was reading some statistics about between 2019 and 2020. There were less than 40 rape convictions in Nigeria, the whole of Nigeria. And we are over 220 million people. And you and I, on a daily basis, even on Instablog alone, we see like at least 2 rape allegations per day.
Every day.
Every day. Now, going into why this is not, the Nigerian courts are not in unison about what you need to prove, what the prosecution needs to prove to get a conviction beyond reasonable doubt. It is not statutory, but most courts always want the testimony of the victim to be corroborated. Corroboration is, I don't know if you're familiar with what that term is like an independent testimony that confirms a particular testimony. Like if a victim comes up to testify in court, like, oh yeah, Mr. A did this to me, did that to me. A lot of state courts in Nigeria actually require that testimony to be corroborated by independent evidence. Independent evidence meaning maybe a medical report detailing bruises, the wound, physical assault, and all that, or an eyewitness. When most of these things are done behind closed doors, so where would you get somebody to testify to that? When 2 adults were probably just having fun in a house and one wants to go down and the other one says no, and then the other one forces his way on the lady, So where do you get this corroboration from? How is our forensic science? We both know it's really backwards. Our forensic science is really backwards in Nigeria. Where do we go from there? even though the Supreme Court has actually has opined a lot of times that corroboration is not necessarily required, but you still find state courts always saying that, oh, this testimony of the victim needs corroboration, which actually impedes persecution and all that.
In Nigeria, there is a pandemic going on, regarding adults raping children. I know you don't want to talk about this. How do you handle rape cases when it involves a minor? How do you get justice for them?
I personally have not handled any case involving minors, and my current practice is actually in New York, so I can tell you how it's been done in New York, how the prosecution handles it. What they do, I don't know if you're talking about how we protect their mental health or something. Is that what you're asking?
No. I'm saying that, we have this pandemic in Nigeria. How do you handle their cases when it involves minors?
What do I what?
How do you handle cases? How do you handle minor cases?
Oh, cases of minors.
Yeah.
Like I said, my current practice is in New York, and I have not handled any case of any minor or anything of any sort. But what the prosecution does is the prosecution tries their best to make sure that the minors in question, not minors alone, but they're very specific about that, are not put in a situation where they have to tell their stories over and over. Those things have been proven to be really, really traumatic. And I don't know if you're asking me a specific question about that. Can you be specific?
Yeah.
About what you want to know? Okay.
What I want to know is, when you go to the court of law and the girl or the child cannot say, okay, I was raped by this person, but the parent can see the court, or they can see whatever. How do you handle that case? It's so fragile, but it's something that is so important. It affects their mental health, their reasoning as younger kids, and also when they get to adulthood.
Yeah, in all honesty, I can't really tell you how the Nigerian courts handle that. I only practiced in Nigeria for a year, but I know that's not really, if the minor is unable to talk, that's not really a problem here. Easily, they can get medical evidence, they can get medical experts to come forward and all that, and testify to what is being tested in the hospital or whatever. It's not really a problem here, but in Nigeria, I'm not sure how they handle that, and I don't trust them to handle it.
Of course, neither do I. I went to the police station a few weeks ago when I had this burglary situation, and I saw how that was even handled. Oh, why are you just coming today? We cannot do anything. Have you done this? And I was like, listen, we had a problem. We had a situation. You're not trying to help us. So
they make you pay.
Yeah, we paid, guy. We paid. We did pay. We did something. It's not easy. This country is really hard. I tell you, it's so hard. It's so difficult. And imagine being traumatized and having to do all of these things. Because then one person is telling you, give me money. The next person is saying, why are you just coming? And what do you bring? And I was like, okay, I'm done. So I can assume, or I can relate to that police handling, because you also need to see the police first before you go to the court of law. You've been in Nigeria for how long? You were born here, right?
I'm Nigerian. I'm everything Nigerian.
I'm
Nigerian. I'm Nigerian. Yeah.
What changed about you when you left Nigeria to the US? I mean, understanding rape, understanding women, understanding consent, and understanding rape weaponization. In general, this has nothing to do with the law. What you learned personally.
I wouldn't say moving out of Nigeria made me learn new things. I would say just opening my mind. I was in a place where, back then, I only thought about how things could affect me. And I wasn't thinking about things on a broader perspective. If you had this conversation like 10 years ago, I'm sure all I would be saying is, yeah, false accusers should be punished. Nobody should accuse anybody falsely. Because everybody's guilty of this. You need to have some form of empathy to be able to think about things that don't affect you. So, like, for instance, women don't even want to hear anything about men. A lot of women don't want to hear anything about men who are falsely accused. Just like a lot of men don't want to hear about rape victims and all that. But the thing is, if we want to move on as a society, we need to hear all sides. We need to bring everybody together and agree on the way forward. But one thing I've seen about this part of the world is that people have more resources to voice out. People, their democracy is working for them such that you just can't. When you're voted, you're going on a promise. You're going there on a promise. We want to hear your views about gender violence.
Right.
You and I know that when people contest in Nigeria, their focal point is, I will build you roads.
Right.
I will give you electricity.
Definitely.
We are still there. But here in this part of the world, when people are running for office, you ask them questions like, what do you think about LGBTQ rights?
Definitely.
What do you think about gender violence?
Right.
And if these people have the power, the elections are credible. If you're not doing what you promised, they take you out. They're waiting for you to be run. So there is more accountability on the part of their leaders. There are more conversations. People converse. You see here, their politics is based on core values. You hear some people are liberals, some people are conservatives and all that. A lot of people on the political spectrum, they have divergent views. Yeah. They discuss, and at the end of the day, they come to meet in the middle and, have a consensus. But back then, in our home country, you see people join political parties just for the purpose of power. No core values.
Definitely.
No core values. A friend was telling me about an embarrassing conversation she heard, an embarrassing argument that was done at the Lagos State House of Assembly about marital rape, spousal rape. And those are our lawmakers. Those are our lawmakers. You should find that video. It's embarrassing. I'm not gonna say it. I don't want to Nigeria for it.
Thank you very much, Jesutowo Adeniji Adekola. I'm really happy that you shed a lot of light. You shed more light to rape culture and rape weaponization. It's an honor to have you here.
I want to say one thing.
Oh yeah, fire.
On a final note, it's just like the only solution to this. I've said this before. I'll say this again. The only solution to this is not for people to. The victims need to be heard.
Right.
They need to be believed. We need to prosecute. We need to do all this. But those are we are just treating the symptoms of this disease.
Right.
We are prosecuting people. And people keep asking for justice for a rape victim. And there can never be any justice for anybody who was sexually assaulted. There is no justice. You're scarred forever. Definitely. The only cure to this disease is that men need to stop raping women. So we need to raise, for some time, I think it's over for my generation. Sometimes I give up. We need to raise people on fundamental values, human values, not even all this cultural sentiment. Human boundaries, respect people's boundaries. Not even from a religious point of view, but respect people because they're fellow humans. Respect people because it is the right thing to do. It is just right to respect boundaries. So raise better men who would respect women's body autonomy.
Right. And
people wouldn't rape anymore.
I'm applauding, and I need what's it called? Bell or shekere. Oh, shekere lo ma like nítorí ibi tó ti wá. I understand that.
I'm a spoken word artist, so just
okay.
snap.
Snap now. These guys are so boring. Thank you very much, Jesutowo A.
No, we should have a political conversation
and something that talks about feminism and patriarchy. Actually, we would have that.
Patriarchy, yes.
Yes.
But also a political conversation about Nigeria.
Women.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So guys, that is it on today's episode of Memoir of a Naija Girl. We talked about rape weaponization and we talked about rape culture. Don't go about raping women. Don't go about raping boys. Yes, boys. Don't rape people. People should not rape each other. I mean, Emma rape. Show you. Now, that's it on today's episode. My name is Helen, Helen, and follow me on Instagram. My personal Instagram name, what's it called? Is it Hearts? Tell me now. Soros, okay. My handle is helen.love.23. My Memoir of a Naija Girl on YouTube, on Instagram, everywhere. Just Google Memoir of a Naija Girl. That is it. God bless you. Mwah. 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 What else?